Welcome back to another episode of the Up Watching Hawaii podcast. I'm your great host, Ski Master Murphy. Yes, I know episodes aren't as regular. It's damn near becoming once a week, but hey, most of the podcasts you listen to come out about once a week, right? So hey, I'm doing what I can, best I can with a full-time job. But here to talk about sports with you. I just finished not sports, but college football mostly. And I just finished talking college football on RCFB talk, Reddit college football talk space they have on Twitter /X/ whatever you want to call the company that is currently owned by Elon Musk. That place where, like Clubhouse or Discord or Microsoft Teams, if that's what you want to compare it to. But yeah, just finished speaking on there, and one of the topics touched on briefly in there that I'd already planned to do this episode about, since I was going to be talking anyway, was a little doubling of two things, which are getting me to go to one thing. Inspired by Adrian Wojnarowski and this morning's firing of New York Jets head coach Robert Saleh. And that's more so I want to talk about. Colleges seem like they are getting prepared for what's going to come next. All right, one thing to bring up easily is the House case. That is House versus the NCAA. It's a merging of a few different lawsuits, becoming one lawsuit, basically a class action lawsuit of a bunch of former players, all the former NCAA athletes versus the NCAA, technically the five major conferences and the smaller conferences, but all of it collectively to get money, basically saying, which you don't need much evidence to prove, that the NCAA and the universities that comprise the NCAA were suppressing student athletes' ability to make money. Because I don't know if you listen to this, I don't know if you've been to community college, a small D2 school, or a major D1 program, but if you went to a college or university that had sports and you were not an athlete, you know that basically it's weird that you as a student have different rules than the people who play sports. Which myself, applied physics major, civil engineering major, I could literally get paid to use my know-how, knowledge, intelligence, and gain experience that I have being taught to me directly from the school. I could use all those skills I've garnered that the school has given me and use that to make money directly. Like someone could literally say, "Hey, I would like someone from University of Michigan, an engineering school student, to tutor my kid. I get paid. It can even come through the school. Perfectly fine, doesn't jeopardize my scholarship." But if somehow someone who's a fan of the college football team decided, "Hey, I want to give Jabril Peppers $10,000 because he does so good here," he would actually be in a lot of trouble, would lose his scholarship, be off the team, be kicked out of school for that. So everyone could see, like, yeah, you guys have put things in place to keep a certain group of students from making money that other students could do. Because, like Jabril Peppers, not fully, but I was also on a scholarship, and hey, part of my education was paid for. So similar to him, me and Jabril, I bring up Jabril Peppers because he's a notable figure, not because of what he just recently done, but because me and him were at the school at the same time. Very talented recruit. He was being brought in with the same kind of hype Travis Hunter had, which was he was being compared to Charles Woodson, which is like, hey, any kid being compared to a Heisman winner who's a two-way player, yeah, it's bringing a lot of attention. But I give that comparison directly just naming. I could have named Devin Gardner, anyone. Crap. Why am I blanking on some names of other guys who were there when I was there? Jordan Poole. But yeah, that's what that case is about them getting money. The judge has given a pre-approval for basically the terms of the lawsuit and the agreement that they want, which is going to give out around $2.8 million to all the former student athletes going back to 2016. Played from 2016 up until NIL got approved. There's some money on the table for you. But it's only pre-approval by the federal judge. Final approval, if Nothing else changes. Final approval will be signed on in May between the representatives of all the students and the representatives of the NCAA and the conferences and all and such. So I'm bringing that up to walk towards general management. I'm getting there. But now, also this week, from last week, the folks who I spoke about, they've named what they're doing now. The people who are trying to make the super league, the super conference, they've gone from 72 teams now down to 70 teams somehow, and they're calling it the Rudy Project, named after the famed Rudy Rudiger of the film Rudy, the Notre Dame player who was, in all honesty, complete ass and very undersized to be a defensive lineman playing major D1 football for a school at that point in time. I probably have to look it up, but I'm pretty sure at that point in time, Notre Dame was competing for national championships. Because, man, I don't mean to shit on Rudy, but this nigga was not good. This man was raw ass. Bro's like all of 5'2". I'm pretty sure he's 5'2". Hold on. Daniel Rudy Rudiger. Yeah, they don't even got a size list on him because you know he's not good. And this is in the 70s. He started off at Holy Cross, the Indiana one. That's in the movie because he's right next to it. But yeah, this is getting a little bit off topic. I will get back on topic. Sometimes you just see people and you just make the shit on them and you gotta feel it. You gotta feel it. So yeah, this is literally Rudy may have been a bad omen for them because looking at this, this shit perfectly lines up that hey, Rudy was on the team during the 74 season, 75 season, and 76 season. Okay? They're in 74, they're 10-2. 75, they're 8-3. 76, they're 9-3. In 73, before Rudy shows up, they go 11-0, win a national championship by beating they go in 10-0 versus Alabama, who's 11-0. Alabama was number 1 in the AP and coaches poll. Notre Dame was 3-4 in the AP and coaches poll. They go on there in the Sugar Bowl, beat Alabama, get themselves a natty. Then, hear me out. 77, the year after Rudy leaves, what does Notre Dame do? They go into the Cotton Bowl, 10-1, ranked number 5, and in the AP poll and the coaches poll. They go into the Cotton Bowl, into Dallas, Texas, to play the 11-0 Texas Longhorns, who are number 1 in the AP and coaches poll, and they win 38-10 to get themselves another natty. So yeah, this little motherfucker, I need his height and weight. Good grief. Okay, I know I'm off topic, but Rudy Rudiger went into Notre Dame thinking he was going to get playing time as a walk-on. Don't even got to be a walk-on. Not even got to be a walk-on. Just a player on the team who wants to play in a defensive front seven. This man, boy, whatever you want to call him, comes in at 5'6", 165. I don't think y'all know how fucking small that is. Myself, a soccer player was converted to a kicker on a football team in high school. Mind you, I came in at 5'10", 185. Even you would say that's small to even be trying to play in defensive front seven. So I was way larger than this little man. Way larger than him. But yeah, they've named their whole little scheme and project. Sorry for getting off topic on that tangent. Their scheme and little project about creating this super league after that Rudy, the one and only Rudy Rudiger, little motherfucker. But yeah, and now they're doing 70 teams, and the things that stuck out in that were, hey, they're gonna infuse $9 billion in creating this. So that's a lot of fucking money, right? A lot of people, a couple of the guys who are on this board and part of this project, former members of the college football playoff voting panel who are voting the teams in. So you got guys there and former executives at Disney and the other sports branches of the media companies. So like, not Fox, but Fox Sports, not CBS, but CBS Sports, the works. So, but the big thing in there I saw is that with these 70 teams, they're going to try to do some kind of promotion relegation, which doesn't make sense if you're going to, well, they're going to do that like European soccer, but it doesn't make sense because they're going to make it so those 70 teams never play anyone else outside of those 70 teams. And that's when you get to the point where it's like, oh yeah, these guys don't actually understand college football. Because like I said in the last episode, bringing up Bordeaux FC in France, and about how people who don't really understand the sport, these big investment types, come in and they can ruin the teams, ruin the sports. Oh, and then ruin these sports, ruining these teams. Everything is watched out. They make that money and they leave. Or, yeah, they'll leave for that. But my thing is making sure the power schools never play the FCS teams, group of 5 teams, is something the schools are never going to agree with because they love those games. They need their tune-up games. And also, you take those teams away, then you can't tell that your 70 teams are actually better than the rest of those teams because they don't get to play them. Like, we know FBS teams are better than FCS teams because FCS teams, the best FCS teams will come in and play the mediocre of FBS teams and lose or be a hard fought battle. So that we know, we are aware of. We get that it translates. But if you never play them, it will never translate. Let's say you took away FCS Division 2. There's only Division 3 and FBS. And FBS never played the Division 3 schools. It'd be hard to say the FBS teams are better than the Division 3 teams because they never play one another. And that's what they're trying to do. And it's this type of thinking and things that they're putting in this plan, which is why I brought up Robert Saleh as part of these things, and Adrian Wojnarowski. All right, so explaining these two people. All right, Adrian Wojnarowski, longtime reporter, columnist, analyst for NBA basketball. Most nickname was Woj, known for what is considered a Woj bomb, where he put out breaking news. He has left ESPN and is now working at St. Bonaventure. And his role is, for the basketball team, his role is general manager. And Robert Saleh was just fired today as head coach of the New York Jets for what most people would say seems to be a fairly unreasonable firing. I'm not going to get into some of the theories behind the firing, but on paper, looking at the team that was built and what the general manager did with the offense outside of his control, boom, it is what it is. So I say that to long way of bringing us around with everything that, the Super League plan's been together, this house case, the things that they're wanting. It seems like they're moving to the role where, like, seeing Woj going to be a GM, you're going to see more things act sort of similar to professional sports. And the schools are starting to get positions and giving people positions of general manager, directors of player personnel, and similar. They're showing that they are getting ready for whatever this next step is that they're going to take. We don't know if with the house case things are going to work out and they're actually going to make all of these kids employees. Because if they do, that's going to change a lot. And if they're going to make employees, or if these kids are going to have to be under contracts, it seems they want to do away with the national letter of intent, which is basically just a 1-year deal. So if they do away with that, you're going to have contracts. And then, if you think recruiting is crazy now and NIL is crazy now, imagine instead of just having to have a kid be like, yeah, I want to come play for this coach. Imagine you also, as the coach, you got to convince the kid is like, oh, yeah, I need you to sign, let me see, can I get you on a 4-year deal? A 4-year deal to come play for us? Because they want to do it with the transfer portal. That's the big thing. They want to get rid of that. Coaches hate it because they've seen how the you know they've had the power for so long that the coaches want to take the power away from the players, especially these young kids, especially young African American kids. They're using their agency and they're doing what they can do. I mean, you've seen Matthew Sluka, not African American, but example, using his agency. Jaden Rashada using his agency, and currently right now, a lot of guys using their agency at UCF, where they've had 6 players who are a mix of starters or rotation backups, the guys who get in, all declaring basically within a week like they're redshirting and they're planning to transfer. So they want to get rid of that. They want to get better redshirting rules. They're trying to wipe away some things, but they're preparing for that next side. And seeing that more general managers and directors of player personnel are popping up lets you know they're getting ready for whatever this next step is. Who knows what it's going to be? But all these teams right now, if you don't have a GM by now, looking at you, UNLV, because this could have been handled. Like the UNLV situation is like a perfect example. It's like if even not having contracts or full player contracts or what have you, if UNLV had a person whose role was to be a GM, like a professional sports team, the Matthew Sluka situation probably doesn't happen. That shit gets handled because that's what the GM's job is. But also, if things are moving to GM roles, directors, player personnel roles, some of the other roles I currently can't think of for some reason that are on professional sports teams, things will get very, very different. Because I would say one major thing would be I'm trying to think, Like one major thing would be like coaching contracts, guys who you get to hire. Because for the most part, coaches, unlike the situation I just brought up with Robert Saleh, where the GM for the Jets picked basically all of the offensive coaching staff. In college coaches just basically get to pick their own coaching staff, and they get a budget, for this staff. So let's say who can I think of? Let's say Kirby Smart. I don't know what his current contract is, but let's say his current contract is $10 million a year. And in reality, well, it depends on how schools put it out. Sometimes in reality, yeah, Kirby Smart is getting $10 million a year. Sometimes not in reality. It's Kirby Smart is actually getting $7.5 million a year, and there's $2.5 million set aside for him to build a budget for his coaching staff. Which now coaching staffs can sort of run wild that they took away the limits on how many coaches can be. So they're gearing up. That's definitely some NFL shit. It's gearing up and not limiting the amount of coaches you have because you will get coaches and analysts out the ass as long as you're doing things. As long as you're shit, why am I blanking? But as long as you're running your team, you can get a lot more things than you would normally think about. But yeah, it's all insane, and it's going to keep moving that way. And I think currently there's really nothing to stop it. There's nothing to stop it. All right, so I decided randomly. I've currently pulled up the Miami Dolphins Wikipedia page, the current people on their staff. So outside of people who are like owner, chairmen, and stuff like that, like people who actually have, those extra roles that you fill out a whole staff with. So here we go. Let's go. Some roles that are in the NFL that you don't typically have at college level. So you got a GM. Then of course you got an assistant GM. Then you got the football administrator, vice football administrator, stuff like that. Then, this is definitely one you need now. A CFO, aka the chief financial officer. There you go. You got the personnel executive, aka director of player personnel. You got the co-directors of player personnel. You got 2 of those. Then, you got scouting and stuff like that. So there's some more roles that are going to be filled in to these football programs that they're gearing up for. You're seeing it here and there, but you're going to gear up for it because once these kids become employees, it's going to be a mess and you're going to have to solve it. And I think right now, for the most part, the head coaches in college will sort of function a little bit as a GM, but not fully as a GM. They're more sort of like similar to a head coach in the NFL, where it's like you're just trying to get all the pieces to work together on a day out of the week. But everybody still reports to you. But once you get To the NFL, you got the GM. Everybody basically reports to the GM. He handles a lot more things. Unlike an athletic director in a college, athletic directors can't really do all of this because they're not thinking about just the football team. They're thinking about football, basketball, men's and women's, tennis, men's and women's, track and field, men's and women's, soccer, men's and women's. They have to think about every sport. I mean, football's a big one, brings in the most money, and typically not too many sports run during football, so it's easy to concentrate then. But like with every sport, it's a year-round cycle. Like once the season's over, it doesn't mean the season's over. We got a scout, we got spring practice, we got summer conditioning, everything, and every sport's cycling 24/7 the same way. So right now, there's no baseball in college, but college baseball's offseason definitely running and going. They're recruiting kids who may be trying to graduate early, all kinds of stuff. So athletic director, he can't just focus on football. So now you're going to get the GMs, especially with money involved. The CFO, player personnel, GM, those are roles that are definitely going to have to be involved. I mean, you know what? I'll do it. I'll see the roles that they have listed at my Dallas Cowboys. I'm probably not going to like it. It's probably going to be dumb. Let's see the roles we have here. We have owner, president, general manager Jerry Jones here. COO, executive vice president, director of player personnel Stephen Jones. Senior director of football operations and football administration Todd Williams. You know what? Speaking of director of football operations, that definitely could have helped Michigan this weekend, especially making sure the equipment managers know stuff. Because the director of football operations would at least have, a sheet on every team's field quality and conditions to know exactly what kind of spikes our players need in their cleats. Guys are slipping around a little bit. That's the little stuff in the minutia that makes a big difference over the course of a game. We didn't lose the game because of it, but it didn't help us. That's the position. Hey, executive vice president and chief of sales. Also, Jerry Jones Jr. That's his job, not Jerry. Jerry Jones' son, not Jerry Jones. Because Jerry Jones is technically the senior. But let's see. Executive Vice President and Chief Brand Officer, Charlotte Jones. That's Jerry's wife, of course. And let's see. Director of Football Administration and Technology. Director of... Here we go. We found one, hit it on the head. You know what? Let me go to the actual website so I can actually just put this man's photo up in here. I'm going to get external links. Here we go. Let's go. Because when I say this role, you guys are going to be like, oh, this is exactly the kind of role that's going to come up with all these NIL deals that we're going to need someone to be able to handle. Where can I go? All right. Clicking on team. Sorry. If you made this far in the podcast, you want to be listening. So don't get mad at me. All right. Here we go. Hopefully I pronounced this correctly. This man's name is Adam Prasifka. Adam Prasifka. His role is Director of Salary Cap and Player Contracts. That is a role you're going to see soon. The language is going to be similar. May not exactly, but the language is going to be similar. You're going to see it in the background. You're going to see it maybe on the websites. But someone is going to have that role. Because it's going to be needed as things ramp up and start moving towards where we know it's moving towards, where these kids are going to be employees or something similar, have contracts, and they're going to get paid. Once you see them gearing up for that, that's when you know, even the house settlement isn't signed, Super League isn't coming through. But that will be your sign that, hey, they know and they're moving towards it. When you have a director of salary cap and player contracts, that's when you're going to know. That's when you're going to see it. This is Up Watching a Wiley podcast. I'm Ski Mask Smurfy, aka OG Smurf 826. Appreciate you coming out here and hanging out with me. Hey, keep listening to the podcast. I will try to have more regular episodes. Life's getting a little busy. Holidays starting to move in. Hey, it is what it is. But appreciate you listening. come back again.